don't know why I write fancy words. I can't say them. Thank you for joining the Escape With Me Book Club. Escape with me, Sam Reiner.
And me, Hannah Rossell.
Into our most recent read. Come with us as we evade reality and go into detail about a new book. We'll be covering the book from beginning to end, so there will be spoilers. Today, we are going to alternate United States. Published September 1st, 2020, Majesty is the second book in the American royal series. Beatrice has now ascended the throne to become queen, and the upcoming wedding is creating more chaos than calm. With the impending nuptials, how will our four leading ladies find their happiness? Or has each of them found themselves stuck in a situation of their own making? So yeah, we're back.
We are here again. Welcome.
Valentine's Day, but spoilers, not spoilers. You will not have to wait till next Valentine's Day to hear the next one.
Woo!
Background, we both read the first book.
Yes.
I read the whole series.
Yeah, because isn't that when the fourth book came out, was 2023?
Yeah, though it took my library a suspiciously long amount of time to get it.
All the librarians just had to read it first.
Clearly. So it took me a hot minute. There was a big gap for me between Rivals and Reign, which is the last book of the series, by the way.
I was wondering if it was if they'd added another one.
And I've gone on to read the author's other series. She has another series.
Oh.
It's a sci-fi.
Is it just as good?
Maybe we'll talk about it.
Fair.
Because there are definitely things I like in it and things that I don't like in it. But yeah, I'm a pretty big fan. I think this author is a very interesting person just in general. So here we be. Age level, young adult still. And we have the content warning, which I feel like is shorter for this book than the last book. But we have death of a parent, death of a spouse, language, sex mentioned, drug use implied, nudity mentioned, sexism and racism mentioned. The sexism is very in your face, while they just kind of mention the racism and you don't actually really experience any of it.
Yes.
Judge a book by its cover. The covers are so...
They relate to the book, yes.
It's very minimalist. We don't even get outlines. So Beatrice is queen.
Yep. I really do like the style of the covers, the art on them. It's really neat.
They look very nice, but they don't give you a lot.
Yeah, I like how from the first book, the crown goes from a ring on her finger to being actually on her head. I thought that was a cool little touch.
Yeah, the crown is definitely on all four covers, even though the fourth book is a lie, but we'll get there.
Oh, drama.
We will get there. So yeah, that's all I know going into this. Beatrice is queen. You kind of know that from the end of the book. In general.
She has some new sunglasses.
It's true. Fun fact about this book, welcome back. All our leading ladies get new guys, sort of.
Yeah.
And all of them are better except for Daphne's, because good, you deserve that.
Truly.
So that was one thing, rereading the first book after reading this one, and I'm just like, you are all with the wrong people.
Yes, exactly.
To just go into the pairings a little bit. Beatrice and Teddy are so freaking cute.
Oh my gosh, yes, they're so cute.
Their relationship goals, he's supportive. He knows how to help advise her, but without taking over. He respects her rank and where she is and his rank and is still a good, solid companion. He just seems like a good husband, period, but like a great husband for a queen.
Yeah, I was rooting for Teddy this whole book.
They just continuously have cute moment after cute moment after cute moment. That's another reason why last book I'm like, Sam, shut up! You don't even like him!
Yes, but really at the end of the book, I was about to fight Beatrice.
I'm actually okay with the ending. We'll get to there, but yeah.
That's fair. You've also read the other two.
I have.
But right now, I'm like, I'm gonna square up with Beatrice.
Sam gets a love interest that I mentioned in the last book that he's gonna pop up again. Marshall!
Ooh, okay. I really liked him.
Marshall Davis, lord and heir to the Orange Dukedom, which is California.
I think they were really good for each other.
They are really good if they would communicate. Both of them have communication issues.
Yeah, that was every time something would happen, I'd be like, hey, there's this fun thing called communication. You should try it.
You have no issue telling literally everyone else their business business and making everything worse.
Yeah.
Except for this one person.
Literally, I was like, please just talk to each other. Stop assuming things.
Yeah, so that was an interesting pairing. Nina and the best friend, who I've forgotten the name of. Oops. That's my bad.
Ethan.
I almost called him Logan, but that's Rachel's ex-boyfriend.
Not that.
Which, darn, I was so sad when I read the book. Rachel's like, yeah, my ex-boyfriend Logan. I was like, I was rooting for the last book. Logan was a better friend to Nina than Sam was.
Yeah.
He seemed like a good guy, but I guess they didn't work out.
Yeah.
So it's pretty bad that I remember Logan and not Ethan.
Ethan's not worth remembering. Him and Daphne truly deserve each other, but...
See, here's the thing. I would agree with that last book. I feel like this book, he got elevated a little bit. He's like, wait a second, Daphne being a horrible person isn't cute and quirky fun, but he isn't to Nina's level either. So I wanted them to break up, but I didn't want him to get with Daphne.
That's true.
Ethan needs to seek himself out.
Ethan needs to be single for a little bit and get away from everyone. He needs to go to like Alaska.
Really?
And just build an igloo or something. I don't know.
Go on that study abroad trip he's been talking about.
Yeah.
So that was where I was with him. I like him better in this book than last book, because last book he just feels like an enabler.
And he starts that way in this book and then stands up for himself and grows a spine.
And has character development and is like, Daphne, you're actually a horrible person. And I've realized, hey, maybe having superficial relationships isn't fun.
Yeah.
Maybe I actually want something concrete.
Did you love her, Ethan, or did you just love the idea of her?
It's a whole thing. But I feel so bad for Nina. Every time she likes a guy, Daphne's like, he's my property. I was there first. And she's like, just leave me alone.
Daphne, why are you so obsessed with her, girl?
My gosh. Oh,
If you're into her, just say that.
Daphne doesn't deserve any.
Truly, she doesn't deserve anything.
There's something to be said for her to realize that she wants Ethan, but at the same time, not really. She has a lot of growth before I like her.
You end up liking her? Oh, interesting. I have 2 books. I'm looking forward to this now.
We have 2 books, because we have 2 books of drama to get through, and next book's a little interesting about Nina and her.
Oh, okay.
But finally, we have Daphne and freaking Jefferson, who is my least favorite guy, and he made it to this book. I hate him.
I feel like we're going to see him more in these upcoming books.
He's a terrible boyfriend.
Yeah.
He knows literally nothing about her. Granted, she purposely curates something, but at the same time,
Yeah, it's like he knows nothing about me, but like you don't tell him about yourself?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like how Jeff treated Nina, and I'm not even a huge fan about how he treats Daphne either. He also needs to be single for a while.
Yeah.
I think that would really help him.
I'm also not a fan of how he treats Sam.
And you know what's weird? For how big they make a big deal about Beatrice and Sam's relationship, I don't think Beatrice and Jeff have had a single conversation this whole series.
I don't think they have.
His relationship is always in regards to Sam. It's never about him and Beatrice. The only time they get mentioned in the same vein is Sam going, oh, well, Beatrice is the queen and Jeff is the boy.
Yeah.
Woe is me.
Yeah.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, I don't think Jefferson has ever talked to Beatrice, now that you've pointed that out.
The books just gloss over their relationship, but they make a big deal about Jefferson and Sam's relationship and Sam and Beatrice's relationship.
Yeah, because they're twins. Yeah. Interesting.
I've always had questions about that. Because, okay, yeah, it makes sense that Jefferson's relationships to the 4 main characters is what's so important about him, but he should have a relationship with Beatrice too.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting that it's not in there, even just like a little bit.
Not even a little bit. So anyway, the book begins and Beatrice and Teddy are kind of being forced to marry very quickly. Let me say it like that.
Yeah.
In the beginning, Beatrice still feels forced to marry Teddy, but as the book goes on, she realizes he's actually a pretty great guy. They actually are good for each other. He can understand the position she was born into and her duty as a queen.
So good.
Which is confirmed when a certain someone gets brought up later in the book and he still doesn't get it.
Yeah, I feel like we get to see a whole nother side of Beatrice.
We get to see a silly side that I don't feel like Connor ever brought out.
Yeah, a 20-something-year-old side. So I don't remember her age, but
She is 22.
that's what I was going to say. And I was like, no, that's too young.
Yep.
We get to see an actual 22-year-old and what one would act like.
Which is weird because she's already graduated from Harvard.
Yeah, that's why I was like, 22 seems too young, but
Nope.
okie doke.
Yeah, Jeff and Sam are still 18, but Daphne just turned 18, so it's probably like a couple months overlap. Feels a lot less weird now that Daphne's 18.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Nina is... I don't think they say Nina's age. They do not. They just mentioned that she has shoulder-length hair now. Yeah, it's the breakup haircut.
Did they ever mention in the previous book that she had long hair, or are they just like, hey, by the way, she chopped her hair off?
I would have to go back and look at my notes from that episode. I don't know if I have them.
Yeah, but I just don't remember them ever explicitly being like Nina and her long hair.
About long hair, but I imagined her with longer hair, halfway down your back, kind of.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I think I always imagined all of them with longer hair. You know, now that I mention it, I don't know anyone's hair length. Okay, Beatrice is 22 with dark wavy hair.
Okay.
And is it just me? Is Sam a blonde or a brunette? Because I felt like in the first book she was a blonde, but in this book they mentioned her dark hair.
Yeah, I definitely imagined her as a blonde.
But in the context of dark hair, she was wet, and so I'm not sure if she has dark hair or if her hair was just wet. And blonde hair, when wet, turns brown.
Let's see, what does the American Royals wiki say?
Because if she's not a blonde, I have a question on who's on book cover 3 and 4.
I assumed it was Sam, unless it's Daphne.
Daphne has red hair.
Oh. Eye color, black.
Dyed via spike? What? She does not. Can confirm. I've read all the books. Here's appearance. Has chestnut hair. She has brown hair. I have questions. Okay, we'll get to that in book 3 and 4, though. So confused now.
Okay, people on Goodreads also have questions. So we are not the only confused ones.
So I guess she just has a lighter shade than Beatrice. So yeah, we're going to have questions. Not so much book 3, because I can think of a character in that book that maybe that's supposed to be. But I have no idea what book 4 is, who that is. Apparently we don't have any blondes here. Anyway, so yeah, they're being forced to marry and stuff. Robert, who is kind of her secretary, but is officially the Lord Chamberlain, is being sketchy as sketch.
Listen, I have a list of 2 characters I want to fight. One is Daphne, maybe.
I don't want to fight her. She would kill me. She has too much determination. I think she would win.
I did not say I would win. I just said I would want to fight her. Number 2 is Robert, and I feel like I could win that because he's just got to be like some crotchety old man.
Yeah, I think you could sum up enough anger with Robert to win.
Oh, for sure. And also, I never said these fights would be fair.
Daphne would win.
Daphne would absolutely win, but I would still fight her.
So, yeah, she's basically being told, hey, since your father died, America needs something to look forward to, so you should have this wedding. And oh, by the way, don't actually do any of your royal duties until you're married.
Yeah, which is super weird. For a minute, I was like, is he trying to take over the crown? Are we about to have a coup?
A little bit.
He was trying real hard.
I don't think she was ever trying to claim the throne. I do legitimately think he was a sexist old prick, and he's like, you can't rule until there's a king.
Even though it would technically be a king consort, wouldn't it?
Yes, it is a king consort, but I think he would finagle it for him to be more of a king than Beatrice.
Yeah.
Like always making sure, oh, did you talk to Teddy about this?
Good riddance to him. That's all I have to say.
A little bit.
Robert thinks he's the smartest one in the room, but truly everyone's just putting up with him.
So that's the narrative of this entire book. The book revolves around wedding events. So the entire book is a build up to the wedding. So yeah, the setup here is as Teddy and Beatrice are getting closer over time because they keep being in situations where they're around each other. Daphne wants Jefferson, per usual.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
But she's worried that Jefferson will get back with Nina.
Even though, would Nina get back with Jefferson?
I don't think so, but she doesn't know that. In her mind, everyone is a ladder climber like her.
That's true.
So she doesn't want them to get back together. So she decides, hey, Ethan, you know how you're in love with me? You should date Nina for me.
Let me just manipulate your feelings for me to get what I want.
And you can totally have a title. And he didn't want it for the title. Girl, you're the worst. The fact that he just lets himself be pushed around, and it was just like, -5 points, Ethan.
Yeah.
Get a backbone. He gets one, and it's actually a little satisfying. So that's the setup for them. And then Sam meets Marshall at an event, and she decides, because she's still obsessed with Teddy because they made out twice. I can't. She decides to start dating this guy named Marshall, who's a playboy, and she's like, hey, with my reputation and your reputation, we're gonna be big news. And so he's supposedly wanting to get back at his ex, and she's wanting to get back at her ex, who is not an ex.
Yeah.
I twitch. She's gonna make Teddy jealous. And so she starts dating Marshall, except she immediately gets feelings for Marshall. All you need to do is kiss this girl, honestly.
Truly. She's just so love deprived.
A little bit. Just a little bit. And yeah, so then they spend the whole book having the miscommunication trope, which is my least favorite. So I'm gonna be honest, Sam's love line is my least favorite of the book. We could have solved all of this 200 pages ago.
Yeah, if y'all just sat down and talked to each other for like 5 minutes.
Because they both do it. It's so frustrating. And rereading it, I can see it a mile coming, and I'm just like, this is frustrating. People are having actual issues.
I would be reading, and I'd be like, oh, I bet one of them's going to get mad. 2 pages later, they were mad, and I was like, called it.
The whole book is Marshall proving he's a great guy, and Sam being like, but you just want to get back with your ex, right? And then him being like, yeah, because you want to get back with your ex.
And they just didn't want to talk to each other and be like, hey, I actually think I have feelings for you.
It could have been solved so quickly. I can honestly skip over all of his parts. He and her start fooling around. People get photos of them, and so then they have to date for real, so it's not scandalous. And so they're forced dating trope in there, kinda, but not really, because they like each other.
They actually are dating.
And so it's scene after scene after scene of Marshall being great and then Sam screwing it up.
Yeah, but I do think that Marshall is really good for Sam, and that hopefully they stay together.
No, they're great together.
They just need to learn how to talk to each other.
They understand each other. They have a good energy together. And it's Beatrice who has to tell Sam, just talk to him. Beatrice!
Who's also the queen of not communicating. Yeah.
She is the worst communicator in this whole book. And she has to be like, hey, Sam, maybe you should tell him.
Yeah.
At this point, what's the worst that could happen? He says no. You already think the answer is no.
Yeah. The worst that could happen is him saying no.
And she even has a scene where she's talking with Nina, and Nina's like, hey, it's really awkward for me to see Jefferson all the time. And Sam's like, yeah, it's awkward for me too to see Teddy. They are not the same.
Girl, they are not the same.
They are not the same. And Nina still doesn't tell Sam about Daphne.
Truly. She's like, I'm just going to keep the secret.
Nina, this is the one thing that bothers me about Nina's plotline. She tells no one about Daphne. I don't understand why she didn't at least tell Sam. They're like besties. And then Sam and Daphne becomes friends.
Yeah, and then Sam doesn't get why Nina's all upset about it.
First of all, it's a little crummy, Sam, to do that, period.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she doesn't understand just how crummy, and that's not her fault because Nina doesn't tell her. I don't want to be in this world.
I would be in it as a commoner, just for the drama.
We wouldn't know any of this.
Oh, that's true.
None of this is in the newspapers.
All right, so I'm going to be a maid at the castle. The drama. I don't need to get paid. I just need the drama.
Oh, yeah, I forgot Connor's in the beginning of the book, and she still hasn't told him the wedding is still on, and then she finally tells him.
And he gets all mad and quits.
And he doesn't take it well, and I just want to be like, breakups don't require a 2-yes situation, sir. Yes, she can break up with you for any reason at any time.
Who said you could tell her what to do? She's literally the queen.
You have to talk to me about this. No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. She doesn't have to. It would be nice, but she doesn't have to. I don't like his entitlement. Anyway, Connor accepts it, quote unquote, and resigns from his position officially, because you know he did it last book too, but he immediately came back. No, he means it. He's gonna go be security for Dukedom down in Texas. So I guess Ethan has her say major? Because I can't imagine him changing majors to pursue Nina. But they're both in an intro to journalism class, and I don't think that is her major. I think she's a creative writing major, and she just took this.
Yeah, I think she wants to get into journalism, but doesn't she want to write books or something?
Yeah, so maybe she's like minoring in communications or something. Or this counts as one of her writing credits because in journalism you have to write stuff.
Shocking.
Believe it or not. Yeah, I had 2 media writing classes I had to take for my minor. So yeah, Ethan is in her class. And so he immediately is like, hey, we should be partners for our assignment. And he goes to lunch with her. And so like kind of get to know each other over time because of class. That's pretty much her plot, honestly.
Yeah. Watching her fall in love with another guy. And we're all just like, Nina, you're going to get your heart broken again.
Well, I feel like last book there was a huge break from Daphne where we just didn't have Daphne for a really long time.
Oh, for sure.
And that's how I feel about this book with Nina.
Yeah, she was a side character more so than the last book.
Every once in a while, oh yeah, her and Ethan are still sort of talking and oh, it's weird for her and Jeff.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the real story.
They're just the filler episodes.
So many cute things with Teddy. There's one time she's running away from her mom.
Oh, yeah.
Beatrice pulls him into a closet, which he gets pulled into closets a lot.
He really does.
He gives her a brownie from this special place in Boston that she mentioned on their first date that she liked to go to.
And she just devours it. And I was like, I feel like I need to experience that brownie in my life now.
And she mentions how she wants to have a Disney World wedding dream when she was growing up, which I have questions about alternate Disney World because it makes sense. There is no Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
Disney World, it would be the only one. I mean, Orange had abdicated by that point, but still. It was interesting. So I was like, okay, we have a Disney World. So the drama, because it sounds like a lot of light fluffy, you know, Sam's have his miscommunication trope, whatever. But it's Beatrice falling in love with Teddy and Nina falling in love with Ethan and Daphne just, you know, doing whatever she needs to do to get to Jeff. This would be kind of like the first book a little bit. Except the girl that Daphne drugged, causing her to fall down the stairs and enter into a coma, has woken up. Hamari is back.
I really like Hamari.
She seems like the tolerable Daphne.
For sure.
But also there are points I don't like her because I'm like, oh,
But they're also both very toxic for each other, and I think they bring out each other's worst qualities.
So Daphne's freaks out because she gets the call from Hamari that, hey, I'm alive. Goes there, is freaking out because the reason Hamari was going up the stairs was to tell Jefferson that she caught Daphne sleeping with Ethan at Hamari's birthday party, which, my girl, really.
The planning was not there.
I mean, it was not planned. That is just facts, but still.
Very true, yeah.
So Daphne gets there, except Hamari's like, yeah, I can't really remember around the time that I fell down the stairs.
She lost, like, what, a month or something?
Yeah, in the beginning she's lost a month that she doesn't have, and of course she's lost a year being in a coma. But yeah, so she's kind of fuzzy, and so Daphne just lets it lie how it is, and they're just best friends again.
Which, I mean, to be fair, I think probably anybody would have done that. I can't even be like, man, Daphne, you're such a bad person. Because I think anybody.
Well, I think she was just setting herself up.
Oh, she definitely was. Long run, terrible decision. But I can also see that
you're going to get what's coming to your girl.
You're an 18-year-old who has just lost her best friend, thinks she's never going to have her. And she's like, hey, I don't remember this horrible thing you did to me. And you're probably like, sweet besties.
And the whole book, she's waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yes.
The entire book. Although she's caught off guard when it does happen.
Even though you were worried about this, and then when it happens, you're like, what?
You were worried about this the whole time. You're the girl who has plans on plans on plans.
Yeah.
From the moment she woke up, I feel like you should have had a plan.
Yeah.
But she gets completely caught off guard. So Sam gets promoted to heir, which apparently has more security clearance.
Which I guess makes sense. Wouldn't you just want all of the royal family to know that stuff?
Yeah, she gets security 1 clearance, and it doesn't mention what it is, and so I'm just like, I have so many questions.
Well, we found out later it gives her to the alarm.
It gives her access to the emergency system, which I feel like everyone should have access to the emergency system.
Right? No, only these select people get it.
If Jeff sees something, he should be able to do the alarm.
Exactly.
But whatever, it's fine. But Sam, she's the victim in her own mind.
Oh, yeah.
And it's frustrating. Because she's like, America doesn't want to like me.
And everyone's like, no, literally, Sam, America loves you. Please.
There are so many people that are fans. Yes, you have haters, but guess what? So does Beatrice. So does everybody.
Honestly, Beatrice probably has more haters than Sam.
Accurate. She's just using excuses to act badly and not feel bad about it.
She's just being childish.
Yeah. But she finally admits to herself that she wants Teddy because she can't have him. It's not about Teddy. It's about someone choosing her over Beatrice for once.
To the biggest eye roll, I think I saw my brain when I read that.
Marshall's choosing you. Marshall?
No, he's just choosing his ex-girlfriend. Duh.
Jeff clearly chooses you. Does that count for nothing?
Yeah, but Beatrice just does not exist to Jeff, so Sam.
Nina chooses you over Beatrice. She has people in her life, but she just wants to... Let me put it this way. I am shocked that in the year 2020, they do not have a therapist on staff.
All right, so if there's ever a book 5, it's just going to be about the royal family and therapy. But it's not written from the point of view now. It's written from the therapist's point of view.
Therapists are required to have therapists. And there are so many lawyers and doctors and EMTs and other professions that have therapists to help them deal with the trauma of their job. And then that therapist goes to another therapist because they have secondary trauma from those of it. It's just, how do they not have a therapist on staff?
Yeah.
Do you know how many problems this would have helped?
So many problems.
Yeah, I get it. Maybe not when they were kids and whatever, but in the year 2020, Beatrice, get a therapist on staff.
You have a female ascending to the throne, which has never happened. You can have a therapist.
Y'all need one. It would help you guys so much. It wouldn't help Nina or Daphne, but your ruler needs to be mentally well. That would be so helpful. Also family therapy, but that's beside the point.
Oh my gosh, yeah. PCIT for when the kids were younger?
Well, like I said, I will buy not when they were younger, but I feel like Dad should have pulled one sooner than this. You know, he knows how bad it's going to be for Beatrice being the queen.
The first queen.
Something to think about.
I need a book from the therapist point of view. Roberts is just internal groaning and questioning everything.
Yeah. Nina shows up to tell Sam that she thinks fake dating was a bad idea. Bye, Nina. She really is not in this book. So, a little bit funny. There's a wedding rehearsal and Sam gets sent a fake itinerary to show up on time.
That was pretty funny.
Because she's showing up late as a temper tantrum and she ends up being there on time. Robert, that was a good one.
Good for you, Robert. I'll give you 1 point for that.
That was tactical.
That was the only Robert win of the entire book.
And she's mad about it and I'm like, girl,
you just got played by Robert. Take a seat.
He got you.
If you should feel like the victim, it's now, but truly you still did it to yourself, so.
Yeah. And once again, Beatrice and her are bonding, except gosh dang it, Teddy shows up. Meh. Whatever. Beatrice goes to Boston to hang out with Teddy's family, which is pretty great. She goes, she gets a puppy.
Yes, the puppy.
That's pretty peak. And then she gets to hang out with her boyfriend and her brothers playing video games and drinking not wine.
Hard liquor. Because the entire time I was reading that part, I just heard, ooh, that's liquor in the back of my head.
She gets a little drunk. Let's just say that. So while that's going on and Mom is out of town for reasons, Sam and Jeff decide to throw a party. Why are they allowing them to throw parties is my only thought. Because it's one thing to be like, a graduation party, but they're literally throwing a house party.
It makes it sound like they did this frequently.
And they do, because they mentioned it last book. They did it frequently. And I'm just like, how are they allowing this?
Yeah.
After Hamari fell down the stairs and thank goodness didn't sue them because they paid for the medical cost. And honestly, that's what you would get sued for.
Yeah.
How are they allowing another house party? That was crazy. I was like, Robert approved this?
Did Robert approve it, though?
How in the world were they going to plan it? Sam and Jeff are not planners.
Oh, that's true.
Somebody did it for them. Someone had catering and drinks and stuff. There was security. Security had to know.
And cars.
He had to. Whatever.
Robert L. canceled out the win from earlier.
At the house party, though, Daphne starts making her moves on Jeff again.
Took her a while.
Yeah. She gets kind of in trouble with her mom because she hasn't gotten an invite to the wedding yet in the beginning of the book. She's like, I am trying herding kittens.
Truly.
So Hamari is surprised they broke up. Daphne doesn't say why they broke up, which I'm a little bit surprised. Later on, when Hamari mentions, she's like, you cheated on Jefferson. I'm super surprised Daphne didn't turn around and be like, well, don't worry, he did it to me.
True. Yeah.
Wouldn't that have solved Hamari's problem a little bit?
I think so.
It would have helped. Like, hey, yeah, he cheated on me, but, we're going to get past it.
Is Jefferson the only one that Daphne doesn't ever throw under the bus for things?
yeah, because, I mean, technically their whole relationship is being thrown under the bus.
True.
But yeah, no, she does, everybody. And that's why Nina's speech at the end is very gratifying. But it's so weird that she's not used that. That would have been a great one if she was just like, yeah, he cheated on me too. That would have been a whole thing. You could have weaponized him cheating on you. And then when Hermione remembers, I mean, maybe she won't feel as bad for you. Although her point was that Daphne started dating Jefferson and then became a terrible friend.
And then almost killed her to keep a secret.
Well, yeah, but then find out, hey, she doesn't actually care about Jefferson either. So she's like, well, if you don't actually care about him. Because Daphne thinks she wanted to tell him so she could get with Jefferson. And Hermione's like, ew, no.
No, I was just telling him because I'm a decent human being.
Well, no, she was telling it for totally selfish reasons of wanting her best friend back. But,
Fair.
There's a lot of tension in this book because everyone else is having a pretty great time, except for Sam, but she did it to herself. So,
yeah.
Everyone else is doing great. I mean, it's a little sad with Nina, but still. Although, here's what bothers me about the Jefferson again. They don't tell Jefferson, and so he ends up finding out because Daphne tells a reporter to call Jefferson and ask for comment. And that's how he finds out, which is pretty crappy.
Oh, for sure.
Jefferson, you didn't tell your own sister. How do you think your sister found out about your relationship? The media.
Let's have some insight, my guy.
Let's have some self-recognition. This is just the same thing. You didn't want to tell people about your relationship because you were worried about media stuff. Give him some grace. But no, he's so upset. I would have told you if I got back with Daphne.
Would you?
Anyway, I'm getting back with Daphne and not telling you. I love it when a person's like, I would have done it for you, and then doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Just conveniently give a, I would have done it because I'm holier than thou. Doesn't. I don't believe him for a second. Oh well.
Ooh, Jefferson. He really took being the youngest by only a few minutes to heart.
He took being the only boy to heart, honestly.
The youngest and the only boy is a lethal combination.
Bonus Teddy points and a good example to the female readers. Beatrice is super drunk and wants to do the deed with Teddy, and Teddy's like, cool, I'm all about this. You were drunk.
Let's sober up first.
Let's sober up and then we'll reconnoiter about this. And I was just like, yes.
Thank you, Teddy.
That is correct. That is the correct response, especially if it's your first time.
Teddy is the only good male in this book.
He is a gentleman and a scholar, and I love him.
Yes.
He is the best, period.
Yes. And every time I imagine him in my brain, I just see him wearing that Ralph Lauren teddy bear sweater.
Oh my gosh.
I do not care what outfit they describe him in. He is always in that sweater. A teddy and a teddy.
The whole PR thing happens. Robert is like, well, maybe you should take princess lessons for Daphne. And Sam's like, meh. And then she goes to the bar in the morning and runs into Daphne and is like, actually,
maybe I should take princess lessons from Daphne. But how is a not princess a better princess? Come on, Sam.
So Daphne's in the bar because Jefferson said that they were going to go to breakfast and then they didn't go to breakfast. I wouldn't trust a drunk invite from him.
I wouldn't trust a sober invite from him.
Fair. Especially a breakfast after a rager. Like, unless it's 3 a.m. and you haven't gone to bed yet, so you're going to Waffle House. I cannot imagine being like, yeah, we're going to get super drunk and then I'm going to wake up at 8 a.m. and go to breakfast with you.
Right.
That was a little bit desperate on her part. But they get talking and whatever, and Sam's the worst friend. Tells Daphne that don't worry about Nina because Nina's moved on.
Yeah.
Why are you telling Daphne this?
Literally, the girl hates Nina. You're telling her this? Although she doesn't know.
Even it's just the ex-girlfriend. You guys were around each other constantly, but now you're best friends with her?
Yeah, literally, wasn't that part of the first book was Sam didn't like Daphne and that made Jefferson uneasy?
Yeah, but it's fine now because now they're friends because she's asking her for media advice, which we never actually really see. I mean, we get a little brief one in the very beginning and then we just get told, oh yeah, my conversations with Daphne, my lessons with Daphne and whatever. But it just goes to show, like, Jeff, oh hey, I'm friends with Sam now, so it's not weird.
Yeah, I was really expecting there to be more to it.
Nope, super easy. Oh, and then Jeff does show up. Yeah, he was drunk and he woke up and he remembered he was getting breakfast closer to 10. That feels more realistic. Anyway, he shows up, they go to breakfast. cool. Anyway, Daphne is shopping with her friend when, gosh darn it, they're in the pool house and Amari suddenly remembers that Daphne and Ethan were sleeping together. And then she realizes that she was drugged.
Mm-hmm. And then Daphne's plans start to fall apart.
Because she didn't plan for this. And like I said, it would have been so easy to be like, you cheated on Jefferson. And then her be like, well, don't worry, he cheated on me. You could have diffused a lot of stuff right there.
And not had to send your best friend to Japan.
Oh my gosh.
After threatening the queen with blackmail, like Daphne, you don't think that's going to come back to haunt you?
Oh, so there's a plot line where Sam just doesn't talk to Beatrice for like months. How big is his house? But that's beside the point.
How many months does this book last?
The last book, I feel like, was a couple months, but this one was the whole summer because they keep jumping to other bridal events. So Beatrice is dealing with Sam being petty. Oh, and by the way, she hasn't been invited to speak at Congress's closing, which will be the first time ever that the reigning monarch has not closed Congress.
And guess who's behind that? Robert.
Sam, I can't care about your problems. Your problems don't matter. When you go to the next chapter and Beatrice is like, I have to figure out whether or not I need to commit treason against my own country.
Yeah, and then Robert's the one that's behind it for sure. How do we know that Congress didn't send the letter and Robert's just hiding it, like the little weasel he is?
Well, we figure it out because she does just show up to Congress, which Robert this whole time would be like an abuse of your power to do that because you have to get invited.
But Robert, you're not the one to be talking about abuse of power.
And so she shows up, she knocks on the door expecting someone to be like, hey, you're invited in. And nope, she hears whispers and awkwardness, and the aide that she found to guide her is very awkward and confused about what to do. And then Robert shows up and is like, they don't want you. I'm closing Congress. And Beatrice has to go home.
I very much, with the way she was described in her outfit and everything, got the sense of little kid dressing up in her parents' shoes and parents' clothes and wearing her mom's shoes that are like 3 sizes too big for her.
Okay, you know what pissed me off though? She's wearing a crown and she moves her head and it falls over her eyes because it's too big. Hairpins.
Can you hairpin those though?
They are designed to be pinned to your hair, even the male ones.
Even the giant ones? Really?
If you look at any of the British monarchy when they're wearing a tiara or a crown, that is pinned.
Well, yeah, I knew the tiaras are crowned, but I didn't know big hat-looking ones could be pinned.
If they can't, they should glue them. Honestly.
Glue them to your head. No other option.
Get some spirit gum and glue it. What in the world? If she looked down, she could lose the crown. It could fall off her head. No! There are things you could do.
Oh, yeah.
And so that annoyed me because it's supposed to be, like you said, kid dressing up in their dad's clothes. Because she points out all of this was made for men who are just bigger than women.
Yeah.
And she's also 22, so she's younger. Glue, pins, something. You could lose the crown. Like if she went into a crowd and looked down at a child to shake their hand, she could lose the crown.
Can you imagine what the media would say about that?
I didn't like. There are so many things you can do. Cosplayers have it tapped down. They know.
You need a cosplayer on staff. That's what we're learning.
Clearly.
2 things you need on staff: a therapist, a cosplayer.
So Connor gets on the guest list because he was a former Revere Guard, and all former Revere Guards get invited to state functions. Fair.
Yeah, makes sense.
She takes the envelope with the invitation and puts it in a secret drawer in her desk with the present that Connor gave to her, which is unwrapped. So the invitation is not sealed, so that's pretty easy. But the present is absolutely wrapped, right?
Yeah, it's tied in a little bow. I guess it was just a plain box with a bow around it.
It's something wrapped. I just want that to be so clear.
It is wrapped? Okay.
Because...
Sam,
you can't have my name and then be messing up this much, girly. You can't do this to me.
Giving the Sam's a bad name.
I just want to put a pin in the wrapped present. That's very important to me. Jeff confronts Nina about Ethan, and he wants her to explain, but refuses to let her say anything.
How are you supposed to explain? Are you reading my mind?
Don't ask me 3 questions and then get mad when I'm answering the first one, not the third one.
Literally.
So she immediately runs into Sam because Sam mentions, oh, he's obsessed with Kelsey. And Nina says, oh, I ran into Jeff. And then they promise each other, oh, we'll never let exes come between us. Just for her to learn that Sam is friends with Daphne?
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh. Daphne gets told by Ethan, I want to meet up with you. And she puts it aside and she's like, okay, we'll meet up in this very specific place in between the high schools that neither of us go to anymore.
Right. Tell me you peaked in high school without telling me you peaked in high school.
So she ends up telling him about Hamari, but he doesn't care. He's pissed off about the reporter because that's put a huge dent in his friendship with Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, I did this thing for you, and then you threw me under the bus.
Yeah.
Because she absolutely did.
Oh, for sure.
But Daphne's like, but that's okay. Me and Jeff are getting back together, so you can just stop dating Nina. I know you're pretending. And Ethan's just like, no, she's actually infinitely better than you. He doesn't say that. I wish he did, but that's what he's hinting at.
Because she has some substance that isn't just manipulation.
Because Nina is actually a good person.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. So anyway, back to Sam. Sam goes into the room because she wants to see Beatrice and talk to her because she's realizing she's been a pill this entire book.
Finally, Sam has realized.
First time going into the room, she realizes that Beatrice redecorated a little, which makes sense. She sits down at the desk. She thinks, oh, I wonder if Beatrice keeps candy in the same secret drawer that Dad did. I think that's valid.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's a shared memory. I don't think she realized that that's a weird boundary to cross now.
Yeah.
So Sam opens the drawer, finds the invitation to Connor, reads it, and is like, oh my gosh, Connor. Wait, what if she's in love with Connor? And that's who she was saying. Looks down at the present, the wrapped present. I'm totally fine with her taking the invitation out of the open invitation.
It's kind of fair game.
I have levels of snooping. She unwraps the present!
Yes.
That's so freaking rude!
But you tell me Beatrice never notices?
Well, she doesn't because Sam mails the invitation. Sam! Why? And she does it in a caring way. She's not even like, oh, if I get her back together with Connor, then I'll have Teddy. It's not even vindictive. It's not even Daphne. She legitimately thinks she's helping.
All the while, she's actually falling in love with Marshall.
I think Beatrice didn't invite him for a reason. How? What? But yeah, so she opens the present and it's a drawing of Beatrice and the snow cabin from last book. And she's like, oh my gosh, they were in love.
She's really lucky that drawing was G-rated and not anything else.
She's worse than Daphne. My girl, what are you?
Boundaries who? Not for Sam.
So she mails the invitation. More Ethan and Nina bonding, skipping that. Oh, the Statue of Liberty is in DC, or I don't even know if it's DC. I think it's just literally Washington. But yeah, it's in Washington, not New York. Fun fact.
Oh, yeah. That was a fun little tidbit in the book.
So, yeah, like I said, we get the Daphne blackmailing Beatrice scene, and I'm just like, that's not a good gamble.
Yeah, she was really gambling on the fact that Beatrice wouldn't just have her.
And I don't really know how they do it, but in a lot of royal families, the ruling monarch has to approve all the marriages.
Oh.
Like in the royal family, like if the queen was like, no, you can't marry them, then they can't marry them.
Oh, man.
And be part of the royal family. That's like been a whole thing. That's how Queen Elizabeth's father came to have the throne, because the one that was supposed to inherit wanted to marry a divorcee, and the queen wouldn't allow it, and so he abdicated his title, and that's how Elizabeth II's father came the king, and how she would eventually become queen. So you're making an enemy, and maybe, I guess, Jefferson can marry whoever he wants because it doesn't come up. But I'm just like, you are making an enemy out of the literal queen.
She could ruin your life.
And it shows up. Beatrice is like, oh, yeah, you didn't need to sign an NDA. I trust you and whatever. And then Daphne's like, hey, I want you to make Hamari's family the ambassadors to Kyoto. And she's like, well, that's nice that you're trying to help your friend, but I've already agreed that somebody else should have it because they asked for it. And Daphne's like, cool, I know you're in love with a commoner. And Beatrice straight up, and she's like, this is the only time you are ever going to get to use this against me. Ever. If this comes up ever again, I will destroy you. And I was a little surprised she let it happen, period.
Yeah, and then she's like, she needs to sign an NDA now.
Yeah, when she was leaving, she's like, she needs to sign an NDA. And Nina's like, I knew I lost the trust of the queen. And I'm just like, my girl, that was not a good gamble.
Yeah.
Because you come to find out, Hermione Mari wasn't going to tell Jefferson anyway.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, Daphne.
So Jeff finally invites Daphne to the wedding because he needs a date, frankly.
Yeah.
And so he's starting, platonic, let's go to the wedding together. And so the fact that this works on him is just really depressing. So Daphne goes, of course, just as friends though, right? And then Jefferson's immediately like, what? Just as friends? And it works. I hate him.
Gosh.
That's not even reverse. Like, that's exactly what you wanted, Jefferson, until she's like, oh, just as friends, though.
And he's like, wait.
I hate that because it's just, what is the turn on? Having something you can't have or disrespecting a woman's boundaries?
Well, if it's having something he can't, him and Sam have that in common.
I don't understand if a girl goes, oh, just as friends, and then the guy gets interested in her romantically.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And it's so stupid. I hate it. And I want to think in my mind, oh, it's just a woman authoring, but there are people like that in real life, both sides, and I hate it. It's so stupid. Just be with someone who wants to be with you.
Have some respect for yourself, please.
Jefferson's just an idiot. He's my least favorite. He wasn't my least favorite in last book because we had Connor. But now that we don't really have Connor, we have Jeff. He's the only one that doesn't have any development in the book.
Does he have any development at all? A little bit of a spoiler. Does he develop at all in the series?
What I remember, yes, by the fourth book, but there's a very specific circumstance that causes that.
Okay.
I honestly don't remember him in the third book. We'll see what happens when we reread. But Beatrice goes to her father's grave and finds Sam, and they talk for the first time because remember how Sam was looking for Beatrice to talk to her?
Finally!
Months later, they all travel to California between then and there, but they're not allowed to travel together on the same plane, so they couldn't talk. And I'm like, in the entirety of your time in California,
you couldn't talk?
You don't know what text messages are?
No.
FaceTime? Literally anything? No. So months later, they finally talk at the grave, and Sam is like, hey, I know about Connor. Beatrice, you don't have to go through the wedding. And Beatrice is like, well, actually, I was totally about to do that, and then I might have killed Dad, which is something I carry on my conscience all the time.
Yeah.
But I am actually falling for Teddy. And then Sam is like, I'm actually falling for Marshall, and it's a good sister scene. And then, of course, Beatrice tells her to just talk to Marshall. I just can't get over that Beatrice is the one that... Nina was hinting at it, but Beatrice is the one that just straight up comes and says, like, hey, just talk to him. Oh, goodness.
Just take your own advice.
And so then they spend a lot of time with each other, except, gosh darn it, Sam doesn't tell her about the invite.
Oh, Sam. Do we think Sam forgot she sent the invite?
I just think she's worse than Daphne, and she's not even trying. Goodness. Oh, but instead of talking to Marshall, she pushes him away, and so they have this weird thing where they're both in a carriage and they're forced to talk to each other.
It was giving me period drama vibes.
Contrived excuse is contrived excuse, but thank goodness that's over. That was annoying.
Yeah.
Mari shows up at Daphne's and is like, hey, you're a terrible friend, but we're both kind of terrible people, so it works out. Anyway, my parents' dream has come true. I'm going to Japan, and who knows, maybe I'll marry the Japanese prince.
That would be quite the plot twist.
Good for you, Mari. Moving on with life, I guess. So yeah, that's the end of that. She's just like straight up like, hey, you were a terrible friend, and then I found out you didn't even like Jeff, so I was going to tell him so you would stop being a terrible friend. Yeah, Daphne's a terrible friend. Which is really sad because Daphne feels true kinship with Mari, but her goals are,
yeah,
whatever. So day of the wedding. Woo! Teddy gives her Disney wedding ears.
Which is so cute.
As her wedding present because she wants to get married at Disney.
So sweet.
Oh,
Teddy.
And then the night before the wedding, they actually get together. So officially, someone besides Daphne has had sex.
Woo!
Oh my goodness, I thought that was a little interesting in last book. Anyway, Nina and Ethan are like, yeah, we're falling for each other really hard. And Ethan's like, hey, my reasons for getting in my relationship with you are messed up. Oh dear.
Yep. Oh, Nina, if only you knew what was coming.
Like, Ethan, that was the time. They go to the palace. Nina pulls Marshall aside and is like, hey, I know I got a lot of media attention.
People say some racist things.
And people say some racist things to them, a POC, which I don't remember as much from the last book.
Yeah, I don't think it was a super huge...
I just remember them saying, hey, you're not Daphne.
Yeah.
So that's why I say racism mentioned, because they mention, hey, the news are terrible. The people people of color dating the white monarchy. And Marshall's like, yeah, but I put up with it my whole life. That's kind of it. They just mentioned that that's a thing and move on. I really feel like they could have played with that.
Yeah.
Instead of Sam and Marshall don't talk again for another chapter.
Yes.
Oh, well. So Nina goes and sits down by Ethan. They're in the back. Daphne got to be in the front because, ooh, yay, dating the prince. Sam is with Beatrice as she's getting in her wedding, whatever. And so Sam decides to get some fresh air. And, oh, by the way, Sam convinces Beatrice to walk herself down the aisle because she was going to have her uncle do it, but she's really upset about it because she's it's not a replacement for dad.
Yeah.
The one thing in this entire book, I'm like, yes, Sam, yes. She points out that technically there is literally no one in the country higher than herself.
Yeah.
Who can actually give you away? No one but yourself. And so she convinced her to walk down the aisle by herself, which doesn't happen, but I like the idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So she goes out and gets fresh air and runs into Teddy, and they both agree, hey, we're better with our new people. And Teddy kisses her forehead. I've never seen Teddy been particularly touchy-feely with anyone.
Yeah.
So it just felt like a contrived excuse for her to get in trouble with Marshall.
Yeah.
Again. It was a little weird. I thought, because I couldn't remember what happens right there, because they're outside in the garden, I thought someone was going to take a picture and it be in the newspapers.
I was so worried one of the paparazzi was going to get a picture.
And second guess, Marshall shows up.
Yeah.
So Sam's running after Marshall, but sees Connor show up at the bridal suite, and then she decides she knows what she has to do.
That level 1 security clearance is coming in pretty clutch.
Yeah, she sets off the alarm so the door barricades come down because it's an active shooter alert. And so all the doors get these metal doors shut down until the entire palace is cleared. And so they're just trapped in a room together. That wouldn't be my first thought.
No, it really wouldn't.
I don't even know.
Sam, I have questions.
So Connor thinks
something's actually happening.
Connor thinks that Beatrice personally invited him because Connor's an idiot. Not I know that Revere Guards will forever and ever be able to go to state functions, which was actually the reason. If Sam hadn't sent it out and Robert had sent it out with his assistant instead, this would have still happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because Connor decides that Beatrice personally invited him so that he would show up to get her out of the wedding.
Connor, please. You would be a terrible king consort.
She doesn't need you to rescue her. That's the whole problem with you. She's not that girl. Yeah, she's a princess, but she's not a princess like, oh, I'm in a castle by myself and I need a prince to come save me from dragon. She has tamed the dragon.
She is the dragon.
She's best friends with the dragons. She is the dragon. She's not that girl, and he still doesn't get that, and it bothers me. She's literally the queen, and he thinks that she's going to abdicate her title as first queen of America ever to marry him. He just never understood the politics of the situation, ever.
No.
And that bothers me so much. It has the sexism that Robert is, but Beatrice doesn't call him out for it. She's like, we had our good times and whatever, and I'll always be thankful for my first love and whatnot. He says, let me rescue you. And she's just like, you don't get it. You don't understand me at all. It really makes me doubt his quote-unquote love for her, because he doesn't get her.
Once again, someone else who's just in love with the idea of the person and not the actual person.
A portion of Beatrice that he saw.
He's in love with what he's seen.
And you're with her all the time. So she has different sides. And I don't know.
The worst.
The fact that he's like, oh, you can only be this one version of yourself and that's the only true version without realizing that she has complexity, it bothers me.
You are a woman. You must only have one side of you.
The side that I agree with.
Only side I like. Nothing else.
But anyway, they finally have a proper goodbye and the door rises and we never see Connor again in this book.
Good riddance.
So during this craziness, everyone's upset.
Understandably.
Because they think they're in danger.
Yeah.
And in that moment, Daphne realizes
she's in love.
She's not worried about Jefferson. She's worried about Ethan. Goes, corners Ethan, demands that they be together. And Ethan's like,
No.
No. You had your chance forever ago. I don't have those feelings anymore. And he's like, you can't just fall out of love with me after so much time. And I'm like, literally, he can. That's how this works.
He can and he did, girl. That's life.
You have to start somewhere. I guess you have to stop somewhere, theoretically.
Yeah.
So Daphne finds Nina and she's like, I just want to warn you about Ethan because I'm a terrible person. Leave Nina alone. She's like, hey, you know, you're going to be in the press and whatever. And Nina's like, yeah, I've come to terms with that. And she's like, but actually, Ethan is only dating you to get to me. Yeah. And here's the thing with Daphne. She knows Daphne is the worst and will say literally anything.
And yet she lets it get to her.
Yeah, first of all, I would keep dating Ethan for a little bit just because it pisses Daphne off so much.
Out of spite, yeah.
A little out of spite, but also I would keep dating him and see if there's room. Like, has the trust been so severed that you can't trust him anymore? Or see if, when not with Daphne straight up in your face, see if there's a chance to be like, okay, this was a messed up start and let's see where we go from here. So I don't know. She makes a very split decision, and I'm not going to say it was the wrong decision for her. I just, with me knowing how much Daphne would say literally anything.
Anything, yeah. You can't trust a word she says.
I would want to talk to Ethan a lot more.
Yeah.
Than Nina does. But I mean, Nina just wants to get rid of Daphne, and I can't blame her because Daphne goes, Ethan's in love with me, rant, and it's kind of unhinged. And Nina's just like, no, you're in love with him because Milady doth protest too much. And oh, Nina gets her moment.
So good.
You suck. I don't care. Be alone with your titles then. Date whoever you want. I literally don't care about you. Please stop calling.
No one is obsessed with Daphne as much as she is.
She just lets her have it. She's like, you're going to get up there and be alone.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have your title and Jefferson doesn't understand you and you're driving away Ethan. I mean, she doesn't say that, but she's just like, you are going to be alone. And she doesn't know how hard that hits because in this book, Daphne lost Ethan, Daphne lost Himari, and Daphne gained Jefferson, who is just empty.
Which is like no one.
She is literally alone with her titles.
Daphne lost the two people that actually understood her at some level for Jefferson.
She lost her whole support group for Jefferson.
Yeah.
Good on Nina. I'm so glad that she got to say that.
So good.
Leave her alone. She's literally not doing anything. Anyway, so Sam's in trouble for doing the alarm and Robert's about to like get on her and whatever. Takes her to Beatrice and Beatrice is like, okay, I'll punish her. And then Robert gets mad that Beatrice is gonna pick a punishment not immediately, I guess. Why'd you take her to Beatrice then if you didn't want Beatrice to be the one to pick the... I don't know. Anyway, maybe it was a ceremonial thing in his mind. But anyway, the wedding's off indefinitely and oh, by the way...
Robert's fired. Goodbye. Yay.
And Sam gets another -2 because she specifically says, oh, this is Beatrice's fight. She needs to handle this. And then a paragraph later interjects.
Yeah.
And a really random comment because he's like, I'm worried about the legacy of this crown. And she's like, what legacy? You mean where we had slavery and all this other stuff? It was so out of left field.
Yeah, it was so random. Girl, please.
Where did this come from? Are you thinking about slavery lately? Once again, it would have made more sense if Marshall was actually going through something.
Yeah.
That we saw and not just vaguely hinted at.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those conversations where you're like, yeah, I really like, I don't know, traveling by plane. And then if someone turns around and is like, oh, so you hate the environment?
Right. So you hate trains? Is that what you're saying?
What's wrong with supporting local industry? Why are you giving all your money to big corporate? It's like, where?
Why are you traveling, huh?
I don't even know where to begin to defend myself because this came out of what? It was so random and it could have been so much more powerful if Marshall, who is the black character, was dealing with issues.
Yeah.
That stemmed from the fact that America had slavery and thus are racist.
Yeah.
It's so out of left field. Anyway.
Yeah, it was real weird.
Whatever. Beatrice fires Robert as she should have way sooner.
Thank goodness.
Oh, and by the way, Sam is going to go on the royal tour that Beatrice and Teddy were going to do because newlyweds.
Yeah. What a fun thing to do when you're newlywed. Yay.
I don't know. That's an interesting choice to send Sam.
Yeah. I mean, who's she going to send? Jefferson?
She's having to take lessons from Daphne how to handle the media. I don't think she's ready.
Does Beatrice even even know about these lessons?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, so she sends Sam, and Sam's gonna take
Nina. Ooh.
He's gonna take Nina, and oh, by the way, when I'm over in Orange, we should totally hang out, Marshall.
Yeah.
I remembered the ending differently, so I was surprised when Nina, who says, hey, I want to be out of the press, I don't want to be involved with this, agrees to go with her on a royal tour.
Which is going to have the press. Nina, please pick a lane.
I cannot get over the fact that she was not famous until Jefferson and her started dating. Her being Sam's best friend would have made her famous.
Well, didn't they say that Nina and Ethan were deliberately left out of things with the press, though? I remember the first book they awkwardly just stood
to the side, but that doesn't mean they aren't showing up at events.
Yeah.
It's known that Nina just shows up at the house. You don't think the paparazzi are taking pictures of literally everyone that enters?
That's true. But maybe it's like the maids or the butlers. They're just like, oh, it's just the friend.
Real world, people would be obsessed with Nina.
What about like the royal family? Do we know of any of their besties?
We don't, but we're not those type of people.
That's true.
There are plenty of people who are and do.
That is true. Oh, that's a little terrifying. Glad I'm not famous.
You don't think if the Kardashians hung out with a random person?
Oh, true. Yeah, you make a good point. We'd be like, who is this random person?
That people would not suddenly be obsessed with this random person?
Yeah, that's very true.
Imagine that, but a king and queen.
Yeah.
The ultimate influencers.
Yeah.
Don't you think the press would want to sell that story? An average girl is best friends with a princess.
That's true. Yeah, they definitely would.
So anyway, so Nina's going with Sam around the country because woo.
Sounds like fun.
Sam doesn't have a driver's license, and I don't know why. She forces the driver out of the driver's seat and starts driving to have the conversation in Marshall instead of just getting in the back.
Yeah, right?
How many of these conversations have been had in the back of these cars? The drivers have signed NDAs.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It would have made so much more sense. So instead,
she just did it for the drama, once again.
She commits a misdemeanor of driving without a license.
Yeah.
And then is a terrible driver. Shock and surprise.
Shocking.
I'm surprised we didn't get murdered.
Yeah.
Anyway, she finally tells him everything and they make up and it's wonderful. Woo, great, fine.
They finally communicate.
They do. It's a little bit funny because she sees her security detail running after them as they leave. And she goes into his parking garage and parks and they have this conversation, make out a little bit. And she looks behind the car and her security guy is behind the car with his arms crossed. That man deserves a raise.
That man has put up with so much with her.
So Nina confronts him and I don't like when Ethan pulls here. He says it's not fair to judge me by my past because I'm a different person. No, you're not. You're just distancing yourself from your actions so you don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Anyone who's like, you can't judge me by my past because I'm a different person is just distancing. You're still you. You didn't get a new body. Your soul is the same. There's a certain leniency and grace. Like, don't keep bringing up the past over and over again.
But you do need to address it.
But if someone comes up to you and is like, hey, you hurt me recently with your actions.
That's not the past.
The first time ever. That's not the past. Ethan, it was 2 months ago.
That's still pretty much the present, my guy. Let's have some accountability.
And so it's not good. And so Nina just lets him have it. So I think it would have been different if she had walked up to him and it was like, hey, what the heck? And he was like, I'm going to take accountability for this.
Yeah, and the fact that he doesn't is just...
You can't judge me for my past because I'm different. And I hate that.
Yeah.
That's so insincere. So she just lets him have it and to decide, I need some time without you to figure out if I want to come back. And I'm like, that is totally fair.
Yeah.
At this point, I agree with Nina. That's totally fair. She has not been single, really. She points out, because she's been an obsessive crush with Jeff for forever.
Yeah.
And then she almost immediately gets into this thing with Ethan. And so has she actually been single before, you know?
Yeah, so Ethan is really just the rebound.
Yeah, although Nina's honest with love, honestly. I think if Ethan hadn't been such a scummy person, they could have worked out, but...
The intentions behind it in the first place just doomed it from the start.
It's a bad foundation.
Yeah.
Relationships are built on trust, and once trust is gone, what is there?
Nothing.
So yeah, she's going with Sam.
That'll be fun. Definitely chaotic.
Vaguely mentions to Sam that she and Ethan broke up, but not because of Daphne. This is a great moment to be like, oh, and Daphne cornered me because apparently Ethan was only dating me so she could get back with Jeff.
Yep.
I would spill that tea immediately.
Oh, yeah.
There are some people who are like, no, keep everything to yourself. Don't let anyone. No, I'm an honest person.
Also, it's your best friend. That's what they're there for.
Sincerity, and it's your best friend. It's literally what they're there for. Be honest. This would solve so many problems for you.
So many.
Don't pull a Sam here, Nina. But like I said, they accept they're going on a royal tour, traveling. Woo! Daphne is kind of catatonic about it all. Doesn't even want to see Jefferson when he shows up. But her mom literally forces her, does her makeup for her.
Her mom is the worst.
Her mom's the worst. And Daphne needs therapy, but maybe when she marries Jefferson, she can get that royal therapist to help her.
Yeah, that's really the reason she wants to marry him, for the therapy.
Oh my gosh. And he's like, hey, I wasn't serious about you before, but I'm serious about you now, and I want you to wear my signet ring, which is basically a promise ring for royals.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a big deal, apparently. And so she agrees.
Apparently. Never been mentioned before, but it's a big deal.
She agrees, but then it immediately is like, holy crap, Nina's right.
I am alone.
I'm getting everything I ever wanted, and for what?
I'm alone. I've made Jeff alone.
Jeff doesn't really have friends, even though they keep mentioning he has friends, and then he's like hanging out with Marshall too. So it seems like she has plenty of friends, but she's like, no, I've isolated him.
Yeah.
From this one random friend.
From his best friend.
They haven't really developed the Jeff-Ethan relationship.
Other than just being like, they're besties, and that's it.
The boys' storyline rotates around their relationship with the female leads.
Mm-hmm.
So we're losing a little bit of the Ethan-Jeff drama, but because like I said, we see him confront Nina. We don't see him confront Ethan.
Yeah.
Your ex-girlfriend owes you nothing.
Your best friend, though, yeah, I'd be a little more upset.
Yeah. Who has a duty of loyalty to you? Your ex-girlfriend who is friends with your twin?
Or your childhood best friend.
That would be way more dramatic, but we don't get to see that.
No.
We just get told by Ethan that happened. Anyway, Teddy shows up and so they're like, so what's happening? Because Beatrice is hiding. And Beatrice is like, hey, I'm postponing the wedding for now. And he's like, so you don't want to get married? And she's like, no, I want to get married, but I really think it's important for America as the first queen to set an example of a queen ruling by herself. Fair.
And also, she wants to get married on her own timeline.
Figure out their relationship a little bit. Build more of a foundation.
Yeah.
Before the wedding instead of after. Because she's like, it's the 21st century. People do this all the time.
Yeah.
We can do this a little bit. It's fine. The most mature. And I know she's 22 and all the other characters are 18, but Beatrice is just on another level.
She is. I think it's because she's been forced to be on that other level.
Yeah, but that's why I'm like, Beatrice's plot matters. Sam not talking to Marshall is maddening because the author wants me to pay equal attention to them.
And I just don't care. I'm just rolling my eyes at it.
Don't care. This is Sam's fault. She's doing it to herself continuously with everyone constantly because she just assumes people's motives, which she did in the first book. And it's just, girl. But anyway.
We never learn our lessons.
That'll continue into the third book.
Oh boy.
But
we did it.
General thoughts.
It was good.
The men get upgraded.
Yeah.
For the most part. We still have Jeff.
Yeah, well, Jeff doesn't count. Connor's gone. Robert's gone. Yay.
Yeah, so in the end, Beatrice keeps her man, Sam keeps her man, Nina breaks up, and Daphne gets her old man back.
Kind of, yeah.
Poor Nina. She deserves someone great.
She really does. Hopefully she finds someone.
And it was so, I don't know, engaging for you. You're like, we're reading the next book immediately.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about the second one that just pulled me in a way the first one didn't. The first one was so good, but I didn't finish that one. It was like, I have to read the second one now.
Invested.
Maybe it was just the character development and everything. This one was really good. And maybe it's also the first one I listened to, and this one I actually read, so that might have pulled me in more as well.
Could be. Okay, one question for the author. I know way too much about her, so I had to be creative. If she were going to write more in this universe, would she pick a historical America and go backwards in time and talk about people from another time period?
Oh.
Or would she pick another country?
Either would be really interesting.
I would be fascinated to learn because she got a degree in American and French literature, which will come into play next book a little bit. And so I wonder if she would pick another one or if she would pick a historical America, which one she would be comfortable doing.
That would be interesting. So my original question was, does Does she have a character in these books that she's rooting for us to like? Because I feel like when authors write stuff, they have characters that they're just like, I don't like them that much. And then they have the characters that the readers are probably not going to like them, but...
Daphne. We love to hate. I'm going to say that.
Love to hate, but actually hate.
The book would be missing something without Daphne.
It's a good character in the end. So that was my first question.
I think it's Beatrice.
Yeah, but she's rooting for it. She's like, I really hope the readers like this character.
Beatrice gets the most interesting plot lines.
Yeah.
Rating, Runaway Bride out of 10.
Ooh.
Wedding and all that, and drama and intrigue.
Yes.
By the end, you probably agree with the Runaway Bride. And it's even got a happy ending in the end because, they're still going to get married one day, just not right this second.
Yeah. My rating was a scheming ex-girlfriend out of 10.
I would hate that.
Because I feel like half of this book wouldn't have happened, though.
Most of this book wouldn't have happened without Daphne.
Yeah. This book, I hate to admit it, would have been way more boring without Daphne's scheming.
Without Daphne scheming and without Sam being a terrible person.
No communication out of 10. I think I'll take the scheming ex-girlfriend over the non-communication.
Ugh, rough. Read again. Yeah, I'd read this again.
Yep, for sure. I probably will.
This is the second time I've read it.
I'll probably finish a series and then reread it again.
It's pretty good.
It's working its way up to being ones that I might actually buy the physical copies of. We'll see. We have 2 more books to go.
It could eventually probably get to a comfort read, I think.
Oh, for sure. This one particularly. I don't know how the other ones are. I don't think I'd ever comfort read the first one, but like this one I could be like, I'm just gonna go to the beach and read this book.
Yeah, but I'm a completionist. I always read the series.
Yeah.
Favorite of the series so far? Yeah, I like this one better than American Royals.
Yeah.
Connor. He just tanks it.
Yeah.
And then Sam and Teddy, Nina and Jeff.
After reading American Royals, half the reason we had to take such a long break was I was like, I don't know if I want to continue this series. I cannot.
3 of the boys were duds.
Yeah, and everyone cheating with everybody. So if this book was just as bad, we weren't going to finish the series. I was going to be like, I can't do it. This book truly saved the series.
It gets better for sure. But have you read this book? Does cherry wine sound as gross to y'all as it does to me? Because that keeps being brought up. I don't drink alcohol, so I don't know for sure, but it doesn't sound great.
I'll have to try it and report back. I'll go find some.
Wait, no. No. Pause.
Pausing. We are paused.
Pause. I have a bone to pick about Wawa.
Oh, yes. Tell us about your Wawa adventures.
I have been to DC. They are a thing. There are Wawas freaking everywhere. So I made a point to stop at a Wawa in DC to try their amazing milkshakes that won over the Prince of America, who has literally everything at his fingertips.
Except for Wawa Milkshakes. Was it life-changing?
It was disappointing. It was watered down. It barely tasted like anything. Honestly, it just started tasting like cream at one point. I got strawberry banana. How do you mess up strawberry banana?
Yikes.
It was not good. Nina lied. There is no double whatever she ordered. That is not a thing.
That's misleading because it sounded really good.
It's not a thing you can get. It went in. Unless it's like an unlisted thing and it's not on the menu. But highly disappointed.
That is very disappointing. Nina has never had a real milkshake because she thought those were good.
Oh my gosh. I think it's one of the things. She's been to DC clearly because Wawa's a thing. And I'm wondering 10 years ago, was Wawa amazing? And it's actually true. And then by the time this book came out, they became a corporation that lessened quality.
Maybe.
Because lies. But
unpause.
Do you have any book recommendations for us? Tell us all about it in the comments below. If you like the video, hit like, and if you're enjoying yourself, hit subscribe for more. Thank you for exploring Majesty with us. Join us next time when we'll be covering Redwall by Brian Jacques.
I would say Jacques.
It's French. I did not study French literature, but I'm Sam Reiner.
And I'm Hannah Rossell.
And we hope to see you in a frontier next time. Escape With Me Book Club is a Lunar Skulk production. Check us out on TikTok or Instagram to keep up to date with us. Lunar_SKULK.